Hello, hi Subhajit.
Hi,
Our
hi.
speaker is already here, students. So if you have any more of your friends who are yet to join the session, please tell them to join the session now. Subhajit, can we start at 2:10 and wait for 3 minutes?
Yeah, please. I'll also need some time to find a meeting room. I've not joined because but we can wait and start at 2:10.
Okay, let's wait for just 3 minutes. So students,
Mhm.
please reach out to your friends and we will start exactly at 2:10. Meanwhile, those who are in the session, please settle down so that you can have a very meaningful conversation and interaction with our speaker here. You can ask any questions that you have and make use up to the optimum level, like regarding interviews and concepts and everything that you have about SAP ABAP. Is someone there who is not muted? Please mute your mics. So just 1 more minute to go. If you have any friends who are yet to join the session, please tell them to join immediately. So I think everyone is settled down, so we can start the session now. Uh, I'm very much excited to present to you our speaker, Subhajit Das. He is a senior full stack developer in SAP right now. With over 10 years of experience in IT industry, he has worked in multinational organization and he specialized in enterprise ERP software development and full stack engineering. He is also an SAP professional who is certified in Scrum Master, and he brings deep expertise in stakeholder management, agile delivery, and successful execution of complex and large-scale programs. Beyond this technical leadership, Subhajit is also passionate about mentoring students and professionals, empowering with practical experience, which are driven with industry insights. So thank you so much, Shubhajit, for giving us this opportunity to interact with you and also to enlighten our students. And without further delay, I would like to hand over to you and you can start with the session. Thank you. You are on mute, Subhajit.
Sorry. Yeah. So, firstly, my apologies. I think I was not able to find a meeting room, so you might hide some background noise. I hope to find a meeting room in the next half an hour, so maybe I'll shift there. But yeah, thank you for the introduction, Danish, and I wish everyone a very good afternoon. So can I first get a raise of hands, or maybe you can unmute your mic and let's just say me how excited you are for the interview session, and what are your thoughts? What do you want to get from this session? Maybe if one of you or some of you can unmute and just tell me what your expectations from this meeting. Anyone? It can be any silly answer as well. I'm fine with anything.
Yeah, please try to interact. You don't have to be shy here. As long as you are interacting with the speaker, uh, you will gain as much knowledge. So please don't feel shy. Please don't be reluctant.
Okay. Okay. So I
Good
get
afternoon,
that.
sir.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, please go on.
Sir, I am Palak Patel. I
Okay.
want to know that what the industry expects us from as freshers and what skills do we need to have to level up at the industry level and make our skills more better and efficient.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, thank you for that question and thank you for speaking up. I think it's a common thing. I understand that we are shy at the moment and we are not used to with each other. So I'll make sure that we are used to with each other uh, at the end of this course. Yeah. So let me just, I think Danish has already given me introduction about myself. So just to let you know, currently working in SAP labs since almost last 6 years, and I have over 10 plus years of industry experience here. So I mostly started as an ABAP consultant, and now I'm working as a full stack developer, as a Scrum Master, and also working on the AI area for ABAP as well. Yeah. So I think I would like to explain you the nature of this course. So today we'll be taking you to, I will be taking you through. So firstly, this course will be. So can
Everyone,
you?
please mute yourself.
Okay, thank you. So so today throughout this course, we will basically go through the basic concepts of ABAP that would help you to clear the ABAP certification. I'll also give you some ABAP tips and tricks while I go through the certification content. After the end of the session, I'll also let you go through what are the skills that you require to clear an interview and get basically be interview ready and be industry ready. Yeah, so I have also a presentation based on that. So I'm not a presentation person. I try like to keep it things very real. So I would not keep it minimal. With a minimal amount of presentation, I would like to take you through the concepts more. So the nature of the session, I would like to keep it very much interactive. So you have an option to raise your hand via the Teams option. So while I am saying something, if you have any questions, you can definitely raise your hand or post your comments in the chat. Yeah, I'll dedicatedly keep the last 15-20 minutes for your questions, and we'll also have 5 minutes break in between, so that you can also just level or freshen up between the sessions. Yeah. So we'll start off with ABAP and we'll start off with SAP. Yeah. So just to start off before, so how many of you know what is SAP?
Subhajit, I just want to interrupt you. Sorry for that. Do
Mhm.
you want to present your screen?
Yeah, yeah. I am okay. I was not presenting, right? Sorry. Thank you
Okay.
for reminding. So let me share my screen. Just let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, we can see your screen. Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes. We can see
okay.
your screen.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Danish, for that. Okay. So my first question before starting, how many of you are aware what is SAP? Anyone?
Yeah, please don't be
Students, you can
reluctant.
also
Yeah,
write your replies in the chat section if you want.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let me see if you have any answers in the chat. Okay, so one thing, dear learners, I think it's a very basic session, so please don't hesitate to answer any silly question as well. So it's a learning session for you. I would expect you to be very basic and niche in this area, and this is the reason why I'm there in this call, right? So any answer that you feel, with be it very silly, be it very stupid, you can let me know anything. But the main content is that through with the end of this session we should have some understanding about the topics that we'll go through. But when I'm starting the session, I think it's completely fine if you don't know anything. That is the reason why I'm here. Yeah. So maybe now, since I've given you some confidence, maybe can any one of you just unmute or maybe write in chat what do you mean, what do you know about SAP?
SAP provides enterprise solutions to the business companies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So let me just, you all can see my screen, right?
We can see your screen, sir.
Okay. So I'll explain it in a very basic way. Let's say you have a company. So this is my entire company that I have. So I will name it as company A. Now, let's say Amazon. Just pick it an example of Amazon. So inside Amazon, you will have a department which is recruiting people, right? So these are set of people who are recruiting each other, maybe recruiting candidates. You have a department. So these are all departments, okay? So these are all departments. Just mentioned as departments. You have another department which procures items, which means buys item from the market. I write it as procures item. So I'll keep it out here. You have another department which sells the items. Sells the items. You have another department which takes care of the finance. So all the cash, all the billing and everything is being taken care of the finance department. Let's just name it as finance. Now you order something, right? Then this order will be stored in a warehouse, right? So we have a department which takes care of the warehouse as well. Yeah. So I'll just keep it very simple so that you guys can understand. Then maybe I'll go through the concepts, let you know what are the concepts that we require in SAP. So let's say this recruiting people, the people who are recruiting candidates, they want to know, let's say before recruiting, I would want to know that I am basically hiring some set of people to work in my team, right? I want to know how my business is going. So to know how my business is going, I need to know how much materials are currently there in my stock. Then I need to know, based on that, do I have a demand of more items? Then I'll check the procurement department to check how many items do I need to procure. I might also want to check the sales history of how much sales had happened in the last 1 year. I also want to check, based on the sales history, what is the total profit that we have made. Maybe based on this decision, then the recruiting people can decide how many people they want to recruit. So all these departments, yeah. So all these departments needs to speak with each other. So I might want to get the information about the warehouse items. So the warehouse people might want to get information about the sales details. It can be anywhere around. So if I have to mark it like this, I can ask for the sales data. The sales guys can ask for the, let's say, the procurement data. The finance warehouse guys, finance guy can ask what is the warehouse stock that I have. Sales guys can have ask me about the billing structure, and this can be two-way around as well. I can also ask about this. The finance people can also ask about the sales guys, whereas people can also, let's say, ask directly about, check directly with the recruitment team, that before you recruit you also need to check that whether the stocks that we already have in place will that be sold off, and do we have a requirement to develop new products for that sake. So all these departments need to speak among each other. So we have something called ERP, which is enterprise resource planning. Enterprise resource planning, right? So this is a typical ERP structure that we have. So to implement all of these things, we need a ERP software. That is how ERP software works. Okay. So enterprise resource planning software. So what this resource planning software does is, each resource planning software will have all these sub software. So these are all applications. We have application for recruitment, we have application for procuring multiple applications for both of them. In normal terms, we call these as departments slash modules. So in SAP, we call these modules. So if you ask me what are the modules in SAP, for recruiting module is termed as HR or human resources. Now it is success factors. So these are all the names. Don't get confused. Welcome where ABAP comes into picture. Procurement. So we previously used to call it MM, which means material management. Now we call it procurement. Sales is basically, we call it pure, we call it sales and distribution. Finance, we still call it as S4. We call it as plain finance only. Maybe we can just think it like this. Warehouse in SAP, we call it EWM, which is enterprise warehouse management. So all these modules, they can speak via an ERP software. These all these applications, all these modules, all these departments from the business point of view are connected with each other. So that if I require a sales, if a sales guy requires a procurement data, this application can interact with this application and get the data. So this application will have something called integration. Integration means it's a bridge between two applications. So together, all these things is a part of an ERP software, or we call it as ERP software suite. Suite means a combination of applications. Now, SAP, before SAP, you might have heard about one company called Oracle, right? So Oracle was the default leader in developing this kind of softwares. Oracle used to be the leaders, Oracle and IBM used to be the leaders in developing this kind of softwares. Then came SAP into the picture. Huh.
So, Vajit, sorry to disturb you, but can you please zoom in your screen so that we can also see? I think it's less visible now.
Is it?
Yeah,
Let me
like
know if this is
a bit more if that's possible. Yeah, I think it's more
is
visible
it
now. Thank you.
fine, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for telling that. So then came a revolutionary company. So you might have heard about the history of SAP. I don't want to go into that. Then came a revolutionary company of seven engineers who decided that enough is enough. We need to have a software which combines everything together. We need to have a suite of applications, means a combination of applications which will have an app and set of applications to deal with recruitment, a set of applications to deal with procurement, a set of applications to deal with sales, a set of applications to deal with finance, a set of applications to deal with warehouse as well. So, so this company started with an applications of systems, applications, products in data processing. So, which is abbreviated as, so it's not SAP. This is a common misconception. It's SAP, which is an abbreviation of these three words. So we don't usually give the dots. So it's SAP. So what does SAP does? So it's an ERP software suite. Primarily, it's an ERP software suite company. Now SAP has a lot more things than ERP, but SAP's core business is developing these ERP suites only. Yeah. So all the major businesses that you see in the world, most of them uses SAP. Large businesses. Yeah. Small businesses also have started using SAP. So what does SAP do primarily? This is a lot of things, but I don't want to get you confused. So when you are buying SAP software, let's say you are a company, you are buying SAP software, you are buying all the possible solutions based on whatever license fees and no what are the, because when I buy a product, right? So when you are purchasing, downloading something from your Google Play Store, there are some features which you have to pay and then you can access. So similarly, based on the pay structure, how much the companies are paying, the companies will be getting all. So some of the modules the company will be getting it as a part of the license that they are buying. Some other modules the companies needs to buy them to make it a complete structure. So when I'm buying SAP software, SAP is actually giving me a set of these applications. Now, So this is just a brief about. There is a lot of things now. SAP is going into the AI domain. SAP has something called BTP, which is a which is called Business Technology Platform, which is a platform as a service. But the core business of SAP remains this ERP business that we have now. Is this clear? Any questions on this one? Okay.
Thanks to
Okay. I'll take that as a no. Yeah. So let's go to the next part. So maybe I'll slowly and steadily, or maybe just a bit fast, I'll try to come where ABAP comes into picture, right? So all these softwares that you develop, so these are all applications, which means these are all developed using some programming languages. So you guys are aware of programming languages, right? So how many of you are from computer science domain? Can I get a raise of hands, or maybe in chat? Or all of you are from computer science domain? Okay, nice, cool. Okay, thank you, thank you. Yeah, okay. So basically, I hope all of you will be aware. So for people who are not from computer science domain, so in order to develop an application, you need a programming language. Programming language is nothing but a language where the machine understands. Yeah. So you will be using a programming language to develop all these applications, all the applications that you see on your software, on your desktop. Everything has a programming language built behind it. So now SAP was invented, and this things was that the business idea was conceived. Now, how do I develop all these applications? How do I do all these applications basically? So previously, what used to happen is, so SAP, since you can understand everything is most in SAP is a business applications, right? Some of you have already posted in the chat. So these applications are used to deal with business data. We call it in our normal term transactional data, right? So whatever you're dealing with a transaction, you are doing some sort of business or the other, right? So it has to be transactional data, which means that there is a database required. So previously, what used to happen is we used to have something called, we used to go with Oracle database. So the DB, maybe I'll just write it down like this so that you can understand. So in the database, we used to have Oracle. And the application that we used to develop, maybe the application, I'll just respond it like this. The application, so there was a question mark on what applications, what programming language should I use to develop the application. Yeah. So then, so maybe I'll just put a question mark. So this is the database. My application is getting data from the database, and okay, sorry. Just let this just move a bit on top so that I can easily write it down. Yeah. So the application is getting data from the database, and an application is also returning the data from back from the database. Yeah. So there was a question mark on what programming language SAP can use. So previously we had SQL. I think most of you have heard about SQL, right? SQL is used mostly for querying databases and everything. So I cannot go with directly with SQL because it's a new ERP suite that I have developed. So I have to develop my own custom, programming language. So SAP came up with something called ABAP, okay, which is called, I think you've already heard, it's Advanced Business Application Program. Yeah. Now, carefully mind that I'm using business everywhere. So because SAP softwares are mostly intended for business use, right? So I have to go with the term business everywhere. So advanced business application programming means I'm developing a business application. So I need a programming language for that, and it is advanced because it is not purely simple as SQL. It has some more advanced concepts. That is the reason why I'm going with this programming language and not the already available programming language. So you must have heard about Java, JavaScript, and all those things, right? So SAP could have gone with that, but SAP developed its own programming language. Now, if you see, I'll just keep this part now separate. I'll focus on the ABAP part now. So when SAP came into picture, this ABAP was there. Just this ABAP came into programming language, and the so whenever you run a programming language, you need a runtime, right? You need a framework based on which the programming language runs. So We used to call it NetWeaver framework. So basically, it is running on NetWeaver. So NetWeaver is basically there is a lot of things, but you can consider it as a framework based on which the ABAP runtime works. And then there was Java framework. Java was mostly used for Mac OS, and like I'm using a Mac OS, so I have my all my SAP applications. Applications are developed on ABAP, but the framework is developed on Java. Yeah, because you need a you write where you write Java code. You write Java code, Python code, and VS code, right? So you need an environment, you need a runtime to run those codes, right? So this NetWeaver framework came as a breather for those kind of uses. Now, once over the years, I'm saying about let's say all the years SAP was developing their own applications, SAP realized that okay, my applications are my applications are okay, my applications are dealing with business, but I need to modernize the applications. I need to make sure that that the applications are in line with the other applications. So SAP started working on this ABAP part. So maybe I'll just mention it like this. So SAP started working on this ABAP part. huh? So SAP started working on what SAP wanted to do was modernize.
Where are you going now?
SAP, SAP wanted to modernize. Okay. Guys, can you please go on mute if
Please
anyone
unmute
wants to
yourself.
unmute? Okay, sure. So SAP wanted to modernize. So this entire thing became a bit old. So what SAP wanted to modernize is SAP wanted to modernize on three layers. So I'll just draw the three layers out here. Just forget this diagram. So in the lower layer, we will have the DB. So we call the database. In the middle layer, we have the application. We call it the application layer. In the top, we have the how the application looks like. So we have something called UI layer. I'm just fast forwarding. Okay, so there is a lot of things you might get confused. So I'm just coming to the main part. So this DB layer, and I'll expand it a bit. What SAP thought of doing is, so in the old diagram, you can see that SAP was using Oracle. So in the new diagram, SAP developed its own database called HANA. So basically, this DB was being used for analytics for high performance. So what is the benefit of HANA is a in-memory database. So HANA is an in-memory database. Means what is the benefit of in-memory? Whatever data I'll store it in the memory, which is called a random access memory. We have heard about RAM, right? So data retrieval from RAM is faster. Data retrieval from hard disk is slower. So what HANA does is it caches all the data in the RAM. So once the application tries to get the data retrieval and the data fetching is heavily faster. In the application layer, SAP modernized the ABAP layer. So basically, we'll say it as new ABAP layer. I'll come to the next part. Yeah. So we don't call it new ABAP layer. We call it different term, but I'll come to that term. But just let me first give an overview. And the UI, SAP introduced a concept or a frame or a programming UI programming concept framework called Fury, which is based on basically JavaScript, but the name of the JavaScript library is SAP UI5. SAP UI5 library. So now in the DB we have HANA. In the application layer we have a improved ABAP layer. In the UI layer we have Fury. Yeah, so this application suite, all the applications which are being developed using this concept, we started calling it as maybe this is one application. Just remove this. I'll just remove just. copy this. This is another application. Let's say this is the, now I'll go back to the modules, right? You must have heard about the modules that I covered in the first. So let's say this is the procurement application modules. Just just for an example, procurement. This module is the second module. Let me say it as sales modules. Now in every module, which means the applications will be built on this technological concept. The UI layer will be Fury. The application layer will be an advanced app. The DB layer will be HANA. So now I've got rid of Oracle. So I'm not using Oracle anymore. I have my own UI layer for all the applications. So this entire suite, so previously we used to call it SAP ERP and SAP ECC. So ECC was a previous version of the ERP suite that used to call. Now this entire suite will be called as SAP S4 HANA. We call this SAP S4 HANA. Which, what is the meaning of S4 HANA? Suite for HANA, which means it is the same suite that I showed you, but it is designed specifically to use HANA as a database. So it is the same suite that I showed out here. I'm just showing the internal of this applications, right? But it is optimized for HANA database, and the UI layer and the application layer has changed. This new ABAP layer, now what happened is once this new ABAP layer came into picture, all these things that you are seeing, there was a thing that all these applications in SAP, maybe I'll just zoom out a bit so that I can just come down. All these applications that you used to see in SAP used to be on premise. On premise means I'll have a physical hardware, I have a physical device, I have a physical server hosting all these applications. Yeah. So means I have my office, I have my company, I have my servers installed. Then on the servers, I'll buy an SAP software. I have my lap computers installed. I'll buy the SAP software. I'll install the SAP software, and then I can access all these applications. What this SAP do is after this S4 HANA came into picture, SAP went cloud. Now this is the revolution that you guys need to know. SAP, I'll maybe write this in the new text. SAP went cloud means now SAP applications will be hosted on cloud. How many of you know what is a cloud application? Can I get a raise of hands for people who know what is a cloud application or cloud? For that, say cloud means cloud and software. Okay, I see one raise of hands, two raise of hands. Okay, so cloud means all these devices are remotely hosted. Means if I want to now buy an SAP software, I don't need to purchase my own server. SAP has its own server. I just need a laptop. I just need a browser. I'll buy the SAP software and I'll start using the software. So SAP went cloud, which means SAP started delivering all these things in a cloud, cloud way. So basically, all these things SAP started developing applications on cloud. Yeah. So this S4 HANA now being started being called as SAP S4 HANA. I just removed the full form cloud, which we call as S4 HC. Sorry, S4 HC. Now, when this cloud came into picture, there was also a need to redefine the layers. So what SAP did was started calling this new ABAP layer, or improved, I would say, the new ABAP layer to something called uh, cloud ABAP. Yeah. So here also the new ABAP layer that we saw will be known as cloud ABAP layer. So on-premise is also there. Yeah. So for the on-premise, you don't need a cloud ABAP, but to develop the cloud solutions, you need a cloud ABAP because the solutions are not on-premise anymore. Yeah, the UI library and everything came into picture, but all these applications now in on-premise, what will happen is all these applications will be there in a server. But when you have in the cloud, you need a platform where you will deploy, where you will start using, you will log into that platform and start using all the services, right? So SAP came up with concept called platform as a service. So you guys know platform as a service? How many of you know platform as a service? Okay, cool. So SAP started deploying all the applications in SAP's own platform as a service, and SAP started calling it as. So maybe I'll give you an example of SaaS. PaaS. Yeah. So maybe I'll just show you the. I think for those who are not aware. So so for let me just close this one. Can you guys not see my screen? Can you guys see my screen?
We can see, yeah, we can see your screen, Suraj.
Okay, okay. So what has happened is this was how SAP was. So traditionally on-premise software was everything is there managed by you. In IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service, you only manage the application, data, runtime, middleware, operating system, and all the server storage is taken care by the company. Platform as a service may you see only the applications and the data that you have. It is only managed by you. Everything is managed by the company. So SAP came into this platform as a service domain. And SAP, let me now go back to this example. SAP developed its own platform as a service called SAP Cloud Platform, which got renamed later as SAP Business Technology Platform. Yeah. So SAP Business Technology Platform is SAP's own platform as a service, which is used to host all the cloud applications, uh, which you'll use to access the ERP applications and the ERP softwares. Yeah, most of them are hosted side by side in BTP. So this is a different concept, all, and this only applies to whenever you have cloud. But you should also remember the main concept of the cloud concept is SAP S4, SAP S4 on a cloud, and we also have the SAP Cloud Platform or the BTP. Why did I mention these two things? Is when you have to develop any applications in SAP S4 on a cloud or SAP BTP, any ABAP applications that you require, you need to work on this new ABAP layer or the cloud ABAP layer. So it is a base built on the core ABAP, the old ABAP, but this is an elevation on top of it, an improvement on top of it. So you need to know all these concepts. Is better the DB part you can still skip to some extent because DB is still the modeling of the DB and all are not being directly done by the app experts for right now. The people who are with ABAP, they are done by HANA experts. But this layer, this UI layer and the application layer, cloud web layer is something that you have to focus on if you have to clear your ABAP interviews. Yeah. So I'll take a pause of 2 minutes out here and I'll take up questions if any. If anyone if you have any questions till this concept, please feel free to ask any basic questions. You are learning something, so any question is fine.
Your students, please raise your hands and unmute yourself, or you can also put down in the chat section if you feel uncomfortable unmuting yourself.
Yeah, please. Okay. Okay, so since none of you are telling me if you have any questions, so can I ask you? I'll just go back. What is SAP S4 HANA? Can any one of you tell in the chat? I just told it a few minutes back. Or can any of you unmute yourself and just let me know what is S4 HANA?
Please don't be shy. This is an opportunity to learn, and even if you make mistake, is completely fine.
Yeah, please. Okay. Okay, thank you, Parth. Any other any other answers from anyone? You can also. Okay. 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 So I see I have four answers. I think the answer provided by Vrunda is correct. So SAP S4 HANA, as you can see from the picture, it is a suite of all these applications. So HANA is a database. All the answers that you guys gave, S4 HANA is a database to store data. As someone mentioned, database provided used to run HANA in memory database. Someone mentioned latest cloud model, upgraded version of SAP where do we use DBS HANA. Yeah, okay, that is also partially correct. But upgraded version of SAP ERP. So SAP is the name of the company. Yeah, so SAP ERP is a name of the product. So SAP is not the name of the product. So the correct answer is SAP's S4 suite for HANA is a entire suite. Suite means it's a club of applications, club of modules. So here in the first part, I told about modules, right? So it basically deals with it's a combination of modules which uses specifically uses HANA as the database. Yeah. So when you say about HANA, the full form is suite for HANA. So means it is designed to use HANA as a database, not any other database. So it's an updated model, or you can say updated framework, updated suite of ERP suite of SAP. It specifically uses HANA as a database. Now, if you're using HANA as a database, then we also need newer version of ABAP because the older ABAP was more used to querying with Oracle databases or legacy databases. You also need a new improved UI layer so the look and feel of the application also changes. I see a question in which someone asked me, can we use cloud for deploying applications other than can we use for cloud? Uh, okay. So Aditya, can you just unmute and just let me know the question? I am not able to understand the question that you posted. Can we use cloud for deploying applications other than SAP ERP applications? Okay. Okay. So I got you guys. Okay. So the concept, Aditya, the concept of cloud remains same everywhere. So the picture that I showed you, right? This is for every application. So Java cloud applications will also have this PaaS and SaaS service. So any example of anyone that can say me what is the example of a SaaS service, software as a service, where everything is managed by the company and we just use it. Anyone can any of give an example? We use it on a day-to-day basis. Even a part of it is also being used. You are using right now. Yeah, correct. So someone said Gmail, Microsoft 365, correct. Zoom, Teams, in fact, the software that you're using. So these are softwares as a service, right? So Teams and Zooms are typically the one that you're using is not software as a service. Typically, the one that you use on your browsers, right? Like Gmail, for a very good example. We just log into our account and we start using Gmail. We don't have to deal with the storage. We don't have to deal with Gmail server, Gmail network, nothing like that. Yeah, Figma is also an example, correct example. Google Docs, any basically any application that you see in the Google suite. So like Google Workplace is a suite of applications. So similarly, SPS for HANA is a suite of applications that we see to manage to manage the ERP business processes. Now, very good. I think this is the participation that I completely want. Please be very frank with your answers. Be it wrong, be it right. Don't worry. You, you will learn it from here only. Now, now we have some idea about this ABAP cloud layer. So now I'll go to the typical certification path. So Why did I go to direct to the certification path is because if you have to now start on with the certification, so I'll basically go to the certification, then I'll come back to this path. So this is a basically beta version, means this is a current now we are SAP is moving from typical proctor based certification to system based assessments, which means that your assessment will have a dedicated time slot. There will be no proctor, there will be no one to invigilate your exam. It will be an open book exam. You will be given a set of assessments and instructions to follow. You have to solve those problems, submit your answers, and immediately within the next 15 minutes you will get to know whether you passed or failed. So previously, how the SAP certification used to be like, you had to register for the certification, go to the certification portal, register for the certifications. Then you will get a date. You need to schedule the certification. Then on the day of the certification, once you start the certification exam, there will be a proctor for the certification who will monitor your certification exam throughout the day. You have to share your screen. They will access. They will see everything, whether you're sitting in front of a monitor, whether you have a desktop, whether you have a charger, everything. Now it's not there. Now you start the certification, you will get 24 hours to complete the certification assessments. You will get a list of question answers. You have to solve it. It is practical based. That is what it is called, system based assessment. So it is purely on the system. There is no human. There is no human interaction. So there will be no one to proctor your exam. There will be no one to see what exam you're giving. It is an open book exam. You can consult Google, you can consult all the chat applications, but I think the knowledge is very important, else you will not be able to clear. This is practical system based. So your ABAP knowledge, core ABAP knowledge, cloud ABAP knowledge is very much required to complete the certification. Yeah. So once we are done with the certification, or we are done preparing for the certification, we'll appear for the certification exams, we'll clear the certification. Then a part of us is ready to sit for the interviews. Yeah, once you are clear with that, then I also have some content on how you should overcome your fears for the interviews as well. So your interview will have two parts, right? You will be asked for technical questions that I'm covering right now. Some I'm covering the topics that you'll go have to go through for the technical questions. Then you'll have soft skills, which will matter more, which will also matter in how you're answering the technical questions. That part also I'll cover in the last part of the session. Yeah. Now, I think I've given well some examples. So basically, in order to complete the exam, you have, so this is the learning portal of SAP. We call it learning.sap.com. So previously it used to be Learning Hub. Now it is learning.sap.com. Here for each certification, now I'm in the certification portal. So I've just started search for the certification. If you can, maybe I think you have the link, but I'll still post it in the chat. Yeah. So in order to give the certification exam, there is a learning journey. Learning journey means what you have to learn to be prepared for the certification. So there is a learning journey called acquire core ABAP skills. Yeah. This acquire.
Subhajit, so
Ah,
sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, the learners have gone through this and they have given the certification exam already.
okay, already right.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, then if the learners have given the certification exams, then maybe I'll just go through the content directly. Okay, so okay, then maybe let me start by asking. Then maybe I'll switch to my whiteboard again. Yeah. Uh, Before you start, mm, some of you or maybe whoever wants to answer, when I'm developing an SAP application using a web, what is the first thing or the basic base thing that I need to develop first to get started? Can any one of you answer, or maybe just type it in the chat? Cool, correct. So I'll come to the question that Anjali has asked, but uh, I think before that I'll just go to the base. So how many of you can tell me what is RISEF? Did you guys hear about the term? Guys, I need some more answers. Okay, I'll just let you, since you guys have gone through the certification, I'll give you, let's say, 1 minute. It's 2:57 now. I'll let you think about ISEF, and maybe one of you can just unmute yourself and just tell me what is ISEF. Think 257, 258. I'll open up for the answers. Yeah, just 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 think through it, and also keep typing in chat.
Yeah, students, please don't be reluctant to answer the questions. Even if that's wrong, this is a learning opportunity for everyone. Even if you are reluctant to speak it out.
Okay, so I think can one of you unmute yourself and tell me what is RISEF? Anyone who likes to volunteer? Okay, so maybe I think some of you have already given the answer. Hope you guys can. I just close the other tabs so that you can guys can focus on. I'll also zoom in a bit so that you guys can also focus on. Okay, so I think this is the core. If you have given certification exams, I think this is the must that you should know before going into your ABAP interviews. 100% sure your interviewers will ask you what is the RISEF object set in ABAP that you worked in, and then they will start the question. So first thing you have to have an idea about SAP, have an idea about the evolution of SAP that I mentioned. What is ECC, or maybe what is SAP ERP, what is ABAP, what is SAP S4 HANA, what is HANA. Some cases people might also ask you what is BTP, how do you define BTP. So you have to basically be aware about this thing. So for that, I think have an understanding of the things that I mentioned about pass, about the full form of BTP. So it's always necessary that whenever you're going to an interview, make sure that if there are abbreviations, short forms, you also learn what are the full form of the statement and what that does. Yeah. So this is a very common question. So maybe I'll just reduce this. So we have something called workflows. I'll write it down and then maybe I'll explain. Your reports. We have interfaces. We have conversions. We have enhancements. We have forms. So if anyone asks you about what ISEF is, just remember this full form. This is a I think that this is a very basic that you should know. Unfortunately, I did not get answer from any one of you regarding this concepts, but I think many one of you have tried. Really appreciate that. But yeah, from today onwards, you should be knowing this. So I'll explain to in clear terms. So these are what are these? These are, I'll just give a dash. These are essential objects slash tools slash concepts used to develop SAP applications using ABAP only. Yeah. So essential objects and tools or concepts that used to develop applications in ABAP. So when you are saying that you are appearing for ABAP interview, your interviewer will ask you questions that what are the RISE objects that you worked on. So you need to be very clear on at least one or two of the concepts, either workflows, either reports, either interfaces, either conversions, enhancements, and forms. So what does workflows do? I'm not writing it down. Workflows are, some of you already mentioned. I think Hitan mentioned workflows are automations, correct? So workflows are not exactly automations, but workflows are dedicated decision making channels. Yeah. So when you are sending a when you are sending a leave request to your manager, or once you are maybe for attendance, you want to send some, you will send the attendance notification to your lead or your manager, and they will approve it. So workflow basically acts as a template for that. So it will direct the decision to that particular set of people, or set of approvers, or set of decision makers. So workflows are those objects which are typically used in the decision making process or a process flow. Reports are the objects and tools which is used to fetch the data and process the data. So fetching and processing can also be done in classes and objects. I'll cover the classes and methods part later on. But these are mostly used for fetching the data from the database, processing the data, showing the data in a table or a list view, and maybe enhancing the data, play with the data. Yeah, interfaces would be used for transfer of data between different mediums. It can be an SAP to non-SAP system, it can be an SAP to SAP system, it can be between two classes, two reports as well. So we'll use interfaces for mostly for those purposes. So everything is revolving around data. Conversion used to convert the data from one form to another. So you notice that I've gone through workflows, reports, interfaces, and conversions. I'm revolving around data. Why revolving around data? Because I mentioned in the first slide that SAP is a what application? SAP is a business application. Business advanced business application programming is ABAP, and it is used to develop business applications. I've also mentioned system applications and products. So everything will revolve around what is the need of developing products. You have some data that you want to process, you want to store, you want to fetch, you want to process the data, you want to play with the data, delete the data, update the data, modify the data. This is the main task of your business, right? So whenever you go to a business, you are giving your name, you are giving a order history, everything. So whatever is maintained in the system is your data, right? So this will be used for mostly for data conversion. So C is for conversion, will for converting the data. Sorry. Enhancements will be, so SAP will come up, like I am working for SAP. So the softwares that we are delivering, our customers will buy the softwares, right? There are some functionalities which we will give them by default, and they can enhance on top of it. So let's say I'm a customer, and let's say you are my SAP customer, and I I am SAP. I'm selling you the software. You buy my software for your department. Let's say you buy my software for managing the procurement department. So customers will buy SAP software for managing all those ERP departments that you say, right? Let's take it for example, procurement. Now you see that there are multiple tables, multiple reports, multiple this, multiple that. Okay, so how many of you know what is a T code is? T code? Just write in chat. T code. Anyone? T code? Okay. So T codes are okay. So let me come to this. Let me complete this. So enhancements will be used in ABAP to develop to enhance applications. Forms will be used to generate a printable, readable format of the data that you process. So you're processing a lot of data, right? You have a lot of data. You are showing up a data on your screen and everything, but you also need a physical or a soft copy of the data that you've just processed. So via different forms, mostly we use Adobe Forms. Previously we used to use SAP scripts. Then we used to have something called smart forms. Via the forms, have a printable, readable version of the particular data processed. So if an interviewer asks you what is the RISE objects that you worked on, you have to either mention that you worked on workflows or maybe whatever you know. You have to either say reports, you have to either say interfaces, workflows, conversions, enhancements, and forms. Yeah. So have any one of you tried to see how an SAP system looks like? Any one of you? Okay. So Anjali has raised the hand. Okay. So basically what happens is I won't be able to share my screen. So I'll share my system. So I'll just tell it from one. Okay. So this is how a typical SAP screen looks like. Maybe I'll open up two screens. So this is how SAP typical screen looks like. So here we have an application. On the top you see the menu icons. Maybe I'll just zoom in a bit. On the top you see the menu icons. You see the SAP logo. You see this is the typical form or the typical page. So form can be used for. Uh, Sorry, Sujit, you're saying something? Office. Sorry. Hello.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Okay. So this is how a typical SAP screen used to look like. So now we have evolved a lot. We have typical SAP Fiori screens. So this should be a screen that is look like. On the top, we used to have, and this is an option where you can enter T codes. What are the T codes? Every SAP application, every SAP screen has a code assigned to it, or I would say the main screen. So, like other applications, when you type the application name and directly go to the applications in SAP, typical SAP backend, we used to have something called T codes. So every T code has a so T code full form of T. So what is the full form of T code, guys? Anyone? Okay. So the full form of T code is transaction code. Transaction code. So I mentioned every SAP application, which is nothing but a code for the application screen. So these guys are these things are very important, guys. This might get asked. These are very small things might get asked for you in the question. Code for application screen. Okay. So every application will have its own screen T codes. So what is the T code for database? Anyone? For viewing the databases, as SAP we call it dictionary. No one? Come on, guys, you are SAP certified. You should be able to answer this. Or
Students, yeah, please don't be shy to type down the answers. Even if you don't want to unmute yourself, please write and start interacting in the chat section.
okay. So for the T code for database is SE11. Yeah. Let's say what is the T code for reports? SE38. What is a T code for classes and methods? Let's say for creating class and repository objects. SE24. Yeah. So these are basically T codes. So how do you identify these are specifically codes that are assigned to every application screen? Yeah. So SE16 is also used for database, but for different purpose. Yeah. Reports have SE30, classes have SE24. And there are multiple. I think there are thousands of T codes. So I won't be able to say you everything. There is a list of T codes. You can easily find the list of T codes. But this is something that will be very much important. Why did I go into the T codes? I'll directly come to the concepts part later on, and then maybe I'll take up questions. But why did I mention? Because this is the core of crux of SAP. Yeah, so you cannot skip SAP without knowing these concepts. Yeah, so somebody mentioned CAP. CAP is again a different module for developing SAP applications specifically on BTP. So it is called Cloud Application Programming Module. The one that we are focusing on is Advanced Business Application Programming Module, which is used to typically develop SAP's core legacy ERP applications. Yeah. So I hope the answer cleared your question. So similarly, now I'll directly go to we have a new programming framework based on ABAP, which is called RESTful Application Programming for ABAP. So which is in short form known as RAP, or some person will also say as ABAP RAP. Please don't say as ABAP. It is RESTful application programming, not RESTful ABAP programming. Which means that ABAP is now more advanced to develop RESTful applications. So any one of you who has an idea about REST applications? Okay. So REST typically, so REST, this keyword in RESTful, sorry, this REST typical keyword in RESTful starts for representational state transfer, which means this is a way of data exchanging between your backend and the front end systems in simple terms, which is based on the modern API principles. It has a concept of stateless. Stateless means when your backend is connecting with the front end, it does not remember the state, the last state or the last session state which the API has interacted with. So these are typical concepts that we use. Why am I saying you? Because this is the future of ABAP right now. So cloud ABAP with a RESTful ABAP application programming model for ABAP is the future for developing ABAP programming models right now. Next one that is coming up is ABAP AI. AI for ABAP. I will not be covering that, but these are the core focuses. Yeah. So now I'll just quickly go back to your certification learning curriculum, and I'll tell you a few concepts that you should also remember that will actually be asked for you in the questions as well. So how many of you are about internal devils? Anyone internal devils? Okay, so this is something very important. I think this will clear a lot of things. So this I have a DB, and let's say this is the HANA DB, and I have my reports on top of it, right? I have my report, ABAP report on top of it. Now, in order to process the data in SQL, what happens is you run the SQL query and you get the data directly from the database. In ABAP, it does not happen like that. So in ABAP, in the middle layer, there will be something called internal tables. So whatever data you get from the DB, it first gets stored in the internal tables, and then from the internal tables, it is being processed to the ABAP reports. Yeah. So there is an internal table layer in between. So please remember this. I think some of you have already learned this. This is a very simple difference between SAP and other programming, or I would say other frameworks or other technologies. There is a concept of internal tables when you get the data from the database. Yeah. So when I get this, so this internal table structure, and how do you declare the internal tables? What are the type of internal tables? So you have different types of internal tables, right? The table types you have, structures you have, how do you process the internal table? This structure, this part of the curriculum is very important for your SAP ABAP interviews. Maybe one of you can write it down, or maybe I'll just write it down in the chat. So internal tables. Next, I'll just mention ABAP reports. How do you debug ABAP reports? Yeah. Next, I'll come to the OOPS ABAP. What is object oriented programming? We call it OOP ABAP, which means that object oriented programming. Can any one of you tell me um, what is a method in an ABAP object pattern? How do you define a method? Anyone? What is the T code that we use to define the methods? Okay, so I think I already mentioned out here. So the T code that we use for defining classes and method is SC24. So you will get asked about a question on how do you define a class, how do you define and call a method. So create class, call method. This is very important. Okay. Reading data from the database I've already mentioned. So in addition to the internal tables, you will have select queries. So these are all the important parts that I'm saying. I'll take up questions later on, but let me just mention the parts that you might face in interview. So there might be questions on select queries as well, on how do you get the basic data. Yeah, yeah, very good. Some of I think Hithan mentioned method and mirror. So very good. That is a plain syntax. That is how you define the methods and define the classes. But when you have to work with the methods, you need to know. So object create object name is the syntax for creating the objects of the method. This is the basic thing that you need to know. Okay, then okay, this one you don't need to just focus on right now. The ABAP RESTful ABAP part will come later on. Then maybe I'll come to the okay. So then we will come to the complex business objects. Yeah. So when I say complex business objects, what do you mean by complex business objects? Anyone? I hope you guys have gone through the curriculum, right?
Students, please start interacting. You have gone through all of this while giving your global certificate examination. So don't be scared to write down the answers. I think they are reluctant to write down the answers, thinking that it might be wrong, but
No, it is
this
completely
is a
fine.
learning opportunity. Yeah.
So basically, when I say about complex, so complexity will come from the type of internal table. So I think just remember the type of internal tables that you have developed: standard, sorted, and hashed. Standard internal tables will are default internal tables that you develop. So internal tables again will come between your HANA database or database that you are working on. Uh, Right now, these are HANA databases and your reports. So when you have the standard database, it is a default table that can have key, non-key values. You can have primary key values, you can have secondary key values, you can have anything. Sorted tables are by default sorted by a table key. Yeah. So these are not default sorted. This is default sorted. Hash tables are simple using hash algorithms. Simple table types, simple internal table types. You don't have to explain it much. So there might be questions on what are the different kinds of complex or internal table types, and explain what does each and every one of them do. Or maybe there is a question which is more performance efficient. In this case, hash algorithm table is more performance efficient because it uses a typical hash algorithm. But if you have to go with typical your defined sorted keys, you have some primary keys values that is used to default sort the values, and you will go with the sorted basically sorted tables for that. You can also go with the standard as well. Performance efficiency wise, you will always go with the hash one. So this might be a question in interviewers. Uh, I think this is one thing. Um, business objects, classes, think control structures. Okay, so before one thing that I forgot to mention, this is a very important concept. What do you understand by structure and table types? Anyone? Please don't be shy. I'm here to explain you everything. So even if you tell the wrong answer, I'll correct you. But please speak up. If you don't speak up, I'll also not know what do you guys know. Anyone? What is structure and what is a table type? Okay. So let me see. This is of type row and this is of type table. So what does it do? So when you are getting the data from, let me just pull it down here. So when you're getting the data from database to internal tables and then processing it, right? So you want to get the data. Let's say you want to get a single row of data. So you don't need to declare an internal table. So you don't need to get it into the internal table. If I can get it into a table and inside the first row, but then why do I need to create a big table just to get a single row of data? Then what will I do is I'll create a structure. Structure is of single line row entity which is based on this table. So these two, both of these are based on this table or can be a local structure as well. So I can define a structure and table type based on based on my database table as well as based on local structure. So these are nothing but these are the kind of the framework of this internal tables that I can build up with, or the storage that I can build up with. So structure will be used to store a single line of data. Table type will be used to store table type of data, which means an internal table will by default refer to this table type, because internal table also holds table type data. So we had something called work area previously. Now it is not very frequently used. So for a single line data, we used to previously have something called work area. And now it is replaced by something called field symbols. So how does it happen is, maybe I'll give you this example. So let's say I have uh, this row which says my name, and let's say I have one database which says Danish's name. So if I have to get this row of data, I'll build an internal table. So I have an internal table. I'm very sorry for the diagram because I don't have options to draw much more lines. Maybe I'll draw it like this. Here you have Shubhajit, here you have Danish. Let's say you have multiple line of data. So here the database table has multiple lines. So let's say XYZ ABC. I'll expand this database table to some extent. So now I get only one row of data. So I will declare this this type to be of type structure. Yeah. Now if I have to get, let's say, this whole set of data plus I want to insert my new data. So I'll create a new table out here. I'll just manually drawing it. So let me say I just built a internal table of this table type. So this is a table type. Let me write it down. Table type. And I'll have an internal table built on top of this table type. So these are basically how the data structure would look like. And then I would have this data. Sorry, why did I draw lines? So here we have Subhajit. Here we have Danish. Here we have XYZ. Here we have ABC. Sorry, I think ABC should be plus. Let me say I want to add some. Let me say that I want to add some more lines to it. Yeah. Let me say I want to add some more lines to it. So when I'm retrieving from the database, if I retrieve a single line of data, I have to build it based on a structure. Structure means it will be structure can be a base for this as well, but structure will primarily mean that it is supposedly be able to store at one point of time a single line of data based on the framework. Now I can use a structure to also build a table. I can use a structure to also build a table type. So structure will be the template. Yeah, not exactly for single line of data always, but a template. I can build a single line of data also in a structure. I can build multiple line of data also in a structure. So structure will be the base. So uh, i- if I have to say it like this, at the lower level, you have a structure. Based on the structure, sorry, based on the structure, you build a table type. Based on the table type or based on the structure directly, you can build a internal table. Okay. So this two will be the framework for creating the data structures in SAP. Just remember this in this way. Sir, they are considered part of dictionary objects. Correct. So dictionary means it's a glossary of items. So data dictionary means any item which is able to store data. So this is what we call in SAP as data dictionary for that sec. Structure defines data types and table type. Not necessarily. Structure don't always define the data. So both are used to define the data structures. Basically, how do you store the data? Structures are the primary templates. They can be used to store single line of data as well as multiple line of data. Generally, we directly, if we have to build an internal table, we would directly go with a table type. We build a structure, we build a table type on top of it, and we reference the internal tables based on that. What is the benefit of that is if you build an internal table based on this, then you can reuse this. So I can have one structure, one table type, and I can have multiple internal tables based on this. Internal table one, internal table two, and internal table three. So this will be act as a template for creating a data structures for that sake. So this is the core data structure concept of SAP. And then internal table will have fields. Fields will have data elements. Data elements will be the type of will which will define data elements will refer to domains, which will define the type of data that you want to store. Yeah. So these are the basic concepts. I think I'm not going into everything. I think local classes are also okay. Reading data from database. I think the CDS views I'll 331. Okay. I'll cover the CDS views and I'll cover the wrap part. One second. So this is also one thing that you would like to know. When you are getting the data from the database, again, this is the database that you have. And so we used to previously get the data from directly from database. Now what is happening is when you work on the database, you don't get to write aggregations. Aggregations means all the formulas and the calculations that you want. Right? Aggregations. So I'll make it as cross. Let's say you want to also do basic calculations, inline calculations. That also you cannot do. So SAP has come up with there used to be something called views. We used to exist on top of this. Maybe I'll just mention it as like this. We used to mention views. Views is to be just a projection to this database. So it is to just get the so instead of hitting the database directly, you will actually hit the views. Now, after HANA came into picture, these views got a new term called CDS views, which is called core data services. The previous views are also present, but the core data services views are also basically used. Why the CDS views are used is these are views specifically optimized for HANA database, which can do aggregations and inline calculations and a host of things. It can do analytics, it can do everything. So which means now instead of directly hitting the DB, I'll directly hit the CDS view. So I have my report out here, and maybe I have my OData service or UI or whatever it is. Report, I can have API, I can have anything. So basically, this will hit the CDS views, right? So this is called the core data services views. So these are performance efficient in comparison to the previous views that we have in SAP ABAP dictionary. So this comes the concept of RAP. So when we use the code of RAPs, maybe I'll quickly. I don't have time to draw, so this will be very much important. So this picture I'll open up, and this picture I'll open up. Yeah. So if you see this diagram, so previously what used to happen is to have the classic ABAP programming. Then we have the ABAP programmer for Fury, where the CDS comes at the below level. Then we have something called auditor services. So auditor services are used to develop APIs, and on top of that, we used to have the Fury programming model for developing the UI. Then came RESTful ABAP program model, which we call as RESTful application program model, which we call as RAP. So what is RAP? If I see this diagram, sorry, I will open up this picture. I'll open up this picture. So in the lower level, so this is a new framework in SAP. In the lower level, we have the CDS and we have something called behaviors. So behaviors are what you want to do with the data. You want to create the data, you want to delete the data, you want to update the data, you want to modify the data, you want to approve the data, you want to reject the data, whatever you want. So we define the behaviors at the lowest level, and we have the CDS views for extracting the data. Then whatever behaviors we have defined, we have to implement the behaviors. We have to write the logic for those behaviors at the top layer. Then we'll have the services. So services mean these are how the APIs will look like on top of the data. So this is a typical way that we develop SAP ABAP applications using the RESTful application programming model right now. So at the lowest layer, we define the CDS views and the behavior definitions. On top of that, we have the implementations of those behaviors, and the projection views means how the data will look like. Then we define the services, and on top of that, we have the UI. Yeah. So this is the core. So questions might be asked on ABAP RAP model is what is a behavior definition? Is a behavior implementation required for a behavior definition? What is the highest layer on the hierarchy of the ABAP RESTful application programming model? So it has to be the UI layer. So what are the layers? So the lowest layer is data modeling. Next layer is business services, and the upper layer is service consumption. So you're developing something, so you're getting the data, you're processing the data and exposing the data. Yeah. Okay. So let me take up questions right now, and then maybe I'll just conclude with the presentation skills. I hope you guys have cleared the certification, so I will expect some questions from you guys. So can you just let me know some questions that you have?
Yeah, please feel free to ask any questions, even from the things that we have learned now. And even if you have any questions from the certification part also, you can definitely ask. And just remember that there is no silly questions, or there is no questions that is wrong. You can definitely ask anything that is coming up into your mind. You can also write your questions in the chat section. Students, please type down your questions in the chat section.
Sorry, I think I'm losing out on the camera, so I just switched on my camera. So yeah, participants, can you just let me know the questions that you have? I think I can keep on answering your questions. Guys, any questions?
Please feel free to ask any questions. Even if you don't want to unmute yourself, type it down in the chat box.
Okay, no questions. Are you guys aware about everything? So let me ask you some questions, if there is a way. Okay, so let me ask you, what are the if you get the SAP ABAP interview tomorrow, what topic are you confident about most? Which topic you can answer in a very good way? Anyone?
Please don't be afraid to make any mistakes here. This will this will help you answer correctly in the real interview. So please feel free to answer as much as possible here.
So I see a question.
Anyone?
Which
Yeah.
which SAP module is used most in a project? Okay, so my project uses material management, procurement as the most used model. So I'm working in SAP. So we are developing products based on various models, and within SAP also, I think we develop products which are not related to any modules. So we develop tools and applications which are outside of all the modules, which means those tools and applications will help every module to connect, but that is not specific to a model. But normally when you go and work outside of SAP, you will definitely work on a module application of a particular module. So in my case, I'm working on procurement as the module. Which part do we need to make strong before going for interview? So which part do we need to make strong before going for interview for freshers? Okay, so the first part that I already covered, as a fresher, it's very important that you know what RISEF objects are. RISEF objects will be your primary point of contact. We should be able to know what are RISEF objects, what RISEF objects do, and any one of the RISEF objects you should be very much aware. Let's say report. When I say report, you need to be aware about the T codes that you use to develop the report. You need to work on at least one report. You can develop your report in your practice systems. I'm not sure if you have practice systems, but Danish, do they have practice systems where they have developed reports?
Yes, yes, definitely. They have access to the practice system.
Okay, cool. So practice systems where you can at least work on any one RISEF object, that will surely come as a part of your interview concept. Second thing is dictionary, data dictionary. What are internal tables? What are structures? What are table types? What are data elements? What are domains? These are very basic questions. Trust me, in interview, it's completely up to you how much you write in the interview in your resumes. If you are unsure about something, don't write that in the resume. But please be aware that you have to at least be good in two, three concepts. So at least the basic concepts. Yeah, people will not judge you for not answering the questions. People will judge you if you have written something and you are not even trying to answer. Yeah, so this is something that we'll cover in the last 10 minutes on how you can present and how you can be confident in the interview process. And in the maybe in the next call, we'll have some mock interviews as well, where I can also guide you on how you can tackle those situations. But the technical part, the technical questions that you will answer is completely up. So please be very sure that you are at least well versed in one, at least one rise of object part. Yeah, not all. Let's say you want to, you have written wrap. So I've just covered the high level overview of wrap. But if you have mentioned wrap in your resume, make sure that you have developed an end-to-end wrap application. Else don't write it, because if you have just memorized, or if you just know, then writing it in your resume will not help. Yeah. So what mistakes do freshers usually make in SAP interviews? Yeah, the same thing that that I just told, right? Don't write anything in your resume that you don't know. And whatever you write in your resume, make sure you practice in the system as much as possible. At least two or one or two rise up objects. Maybe you can pick up reports, you can pick up interfaces, you can pick up forms. Uh, Base level idea about dictionaries. Classes and objects are very good example, because classes and objects are common across all programming languages. You can also work on forms, but make sure that whatever you write it down, you have practiced them at least once or twice, or as many number of times as possible in the system. Then only uh, write them in write them in the resume and go for interview by preparing yourself technically for it. But reports, classes, data dictionaries, forms, they should be very clear when you are going for an interview. And also, if you are telling that you are certified, then all the certification things that you see on the portal, right? I have not gone through everything. Just go through the content, try to understand the content. Maybe next day when I come back, you can also ask me questions. Today I did not get any questions, so next time maybe you can just prepare and you can just clear the doubts with me. So today I tried to touch upon the basics, very basics, because you guys have already gone through the certification. Yeah. What are the best approaches for presenting ourselves to interview? Yeah, this I'll cover in the next 10 minutes. But any other, I don't see any other questions in the rest of today's. Okay. So data dictionaries, reports, classes and objects, forms, and maybe other than that, any two RISE objects. Yeah, this will actually make you help you a lot in the interview process. What is HANA? What is S4 HANA? What is, maybe don't mistakenly say SAP. SAP is not the word. I have seen interviewers who cut marks or who gives negative points for saying SAP as SAP. Yeah. So SAP, it's an abbreviation of three words, so it should be SAP, not SAP. Yeah. And yeah, again, RAP. If you think that you are not very good, don't try attempting RAP. Because RAP takes a lot of practice. If you have practiced it at least once or twice, then only mention everything in the resume. Yeah. Okay, so I will be taking you through. Let me share back my screen once. I think some of you had questions about presentation skills. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen, sir.
Okay. So, having been told that you are technically, let's say, you have gone through the technical part very well, or you have just practiced the technical part. Now it's time for the presentation skills. Presentation skills and interview skills, I'll just go hand in hand. So, I've just made a few slides common to both of them. So presentation skills and interview skills matters, because how you present and how you talk, how your body language is during the interview process really matters a lot. So sometimes you get nervous. So obviously it will be a different environment. You will have different people in front of you. You will have unknown people in front of you. You will go to a different office. Maybe you will come out of your own campus and everything. So environment will be different. People will be different. So you might get a lot of fear. So the common fears and challenges that I've mentioned is obviously stage fright. You are going to a situation, you might be afraid of speaking. A fear of mistakes, the one that you just showed during the call as well. You guys are afraid about mistakes and you guys are not typing your answers, maybe not raising hands in questions, because you fear that what if I tell them a wrong thing, and what if I am blank. So one thing, I think before going into these three parts, let me just type in by saying that know your audience and purpose. So before going hand, you should be mentally clear that I am going to a place where there will be a different set of people. I will not know them. It might be that they are very good than me, it might be that they are not that good than me. So I should not consider that okay, they are very highly educated people and they are highly knowledgeable people, and I am very, I am a fresher, so they will ask questions and I cannot answer. Yes, you cannot answer, but you have a way to deal with that situation. Yeah. Number one thing that I want to tell you is body language. So whenever you go to the interview, I'll just stick to these 3 points. Whenever you go to the interview, your body language should be correct and your body language should express the confidence that you're having. Yeah. You might be fearing, your hands might be shaking and everything. Please enter the room with a smile on your face. Back straight, smile on your face, so that the interview, even if you are less confident, it does not show up. Yeah. Second thing, address the interviewer with the, this is a common thing that I usually keep on telling, and you will eventually come to know when you enter the corporate industry. You must have seen that I have called Danish by his first name. I did not say his full name. Rule number one of corporate industry is don't call anyone sir or madam unless and until he is in a very high order. Even in SAP, we don't even call our leader as sir or madam. Okay, we call her by her first name. So always call people by their first name. This is the first positive point that you will get when you go to the interview. So don't call sir or madam. I see some of you have told me sir. It's okay. For the first time, it's pretty fine. And even if you're mistaking it, it's completely okay. Even if you are mistakenly saying that in an interview, that is still okay. But trust me, if you say by the first name, that will give you a lot of positive impression. That is what we follow in the corporate industry. We don't call anyone by their full name or sir or madam. Next thing is body language. Keep a smile on your face. Don't worry. Don't frightened for that sake. Yeah, I know it's your first interview. It's a different people, different technology. You might not be knowing everything, but go with a lot of confidence. At least go with a fake smile. Yeah. Next thing is, how do I deal with questions and answers which are not relevant? So this is the first question and the most important thing that I see in candidates. So just before this call, I was taking an interview of a candidate from 12:30. What I saw in that candidate, I'll just share it with you. So this is something that I've seen in multiple candidates. So you are sitting in front of me and you are giving an interview in front of me. It will not be that I'll whatever questions I'll ask you, you will be able to answer those questions. So some question might be common to you. You might answer me those questions. Some questions might not be common to you, and you might not be able to answer those questions. I, as an interviewer, I will judge you based on the questions that you are not able to answer most. Why? Let me say that I'm hiring you for my team, for my project, and we'll have a lot of tough tasks. Not every task. So every task that I do, everything is not known to me. Every day is a new day for me. I have to explore a lot. I have to, debug things. I have to understand things. I have to get into. So everything is not within the syllabus for me. Now, if I'm hiring you, and if I'm giving you a task which is not within the syllabus, which is out of syllabus for you, if you give up your hand on the first day that no sir, that no sir or no Shubhajit, I can't do it, I don't know this, and and I won't be able to do this. Oh, will I have a good impression about you? No, I'll not have a good impression about you. And I don't want to hire candidates who give up easily. Yeah. So this is the same thing that you should follow in your interview as well. And this is something, trust me, that I have followed all throughout my year. And this has been very successful with me. So what is that? So whenever you get a difficult question and you're not able to answer, so remember, during the entire interview process, you have to be a very good listener. So I've just given a lot of things out here, but I'll just summarize it for the sake of time. So you have to be a very good listener. You have to understand the questions. You have to listen to these questions properly. You should not give up on the question very easily. First thing is listen to the questions. Now, Once the interviewer starts asking the question, you will immediately get an understanding that whether you can answer or not answer. Okay, let's say you are not able to answer. Don't immediately start telling. When the question, when the interviewer asks you a question, take a pause. Yeah, at least 5 6 seconds of silence. Don't immediately start answering. Think about the question whether you can answer it or not. Now, now if you think you are not able to answer, they, there is a way that I follow, that you can follow the you can give back the answer to the interviewer in the same way, which is, sorry, I'm not able to recall the answer at this point of time, but I can give it a try. Yeah, or sorry, I'm not able to recall the answer at this point of time, but surely after the interview, I will definitely go through this question and try to find the answer. So why does this two step helps? Number one, it means that if you get a difficult situation in your when I hire you and you are in my project, you will not give up, right? Because here you are not able to answer a question, but you are not immediately giving up. Yeah, you are still trying to answer the question. Maybe just let them know that I'm not able to recall the answer at this point of time, but I can give it a try. What will happen is, in that case also, even if you tell the wrong answer, people will appreciate you for the effort that you took to give to attempt a question which you don't know the answer for. Number one. Number two, even if you tell that, okay, I'm not able to recall at this point of time, but I'll surely have a look at it after the interview, it gives a confidence in the interviewer that you are curious to know the answer. It is not that the interviewer is gone and your interest is gone. You are still interested to know the answer. And since it is now an interview phase and you are giving an interview and there is a time concern, that is a time of the interview or time of you, so now you are not dragging it much, but after the interview you'll surely get through it. Trust me, this two thing really helps a lot along with the body language. So your body language should be positive. You should not have any distractions. Even if you're having a distraction, try having a fake smile on your face. That really helps. Sit on the chair with your back straight. Try to listen the questions first. Try, before answering anything, before answering a negative answer or a positive answer, always take a pause. Think about the question, think about the answer. No one will judge you for taking a time to think about the answer, but everyone will start judging you if you hurry up and start answering within 2 minutes of time. So today the interviewer, the candidate that I was interviewing, I saw this problem in him, that though he is not able to answer, but he's immediately jumping to answer the questions. And what is happening is, he does not know the answer. He is immediately starting to answer the questions, and then he's stopping in between. A pause for 15 seconds or 20 seconds, and after the pause he is not even telling me that, sir, no, that Subhajit, no, I don't know the answer of the question. Sorry, I don't know the answer of the question. He is just thinking and thinking and thinking, and I am supposedly going to the second question again. Then again the second same thing is happening in the second question. So he is not even coming back to me and saying that, no, I'm not able to tell the answer, sorry, maybe I'll just I will have a look at it. Or he is not even attempting to answer whatever he knows. Yeah, so I've rejected this candidate because it is not giving me a confidence that if I hire him from my team, and if there is a difficult situation, he will immediately give up. He or she will say that, no, I don't know the solution for this, please help me, and then only I can understand. So helping is okay, but when you are given a task, you are expected to at least do some basic analysis of the task and then come to the person to take a help. Similar thing how you do for your homeworks, right? So if I'm giving you homework in, let's say, data structure and algorithm, and I'm giving you algorithm to write, and you have not done anything, and you have just come to me blank, sir, I cannot write it. But I have, let's say, I've taught you 3 or 4 or 5 sessions on I have taken, let's say, 4 or 5 classes on data structure algorithm, and still you are coming back. So that is still okay with me. I can still tell you the seventh time, but you should try something. Yeah, so this was what I was telling you throughout the session. Try it out. Try to say anything and everything, doesn't matter. But if you don't try, this will become a habit, and this will eventually fall in the interview. You will also shy away from trying it during the interview as well. So to answer the question and sum it up, Keep your body language positive, have a smile on your face. Always keep in mind it's not about answering the easy questions, it's dealing with the tough questions that will decide your interview. If you're not able to deal with the tough questions, your interview performance will be impacted. Yeah. So I hope I was able to answer some of the queries. I'm just checking if there are any other queries. Okay, so what are the best approaches? The same thing that I mentioned. You have to have some understanding about your technical part. In ABAP, you should have some understanding about ISAP objects, data dictionaries, classes, and objects. But please write down in your resume only whatever you know. Don't write extra things. Your resume is your representation of yourself. The other person sitting in front of you does not know you. They will only know you via your resume. So whatever you write in the resume, the interviewer automatically expects that you know everything on the topic. So if you're writing down something that you don't know, then high chances that interviewer will ask you on the topic and you will fail. So, but even if you fail to answer, try applying this method that I just mentioned. But it should not be that you are not able to answer anything and everything. Then you will lose confidence. So write only those things in the resume which you know and which you know that you can be able to answer at this basic way. See, I also don't know anything like anything and everything about SAP, but over the last 10 years, I have some experience, right? So there might be something you don't know, that is completely fine, but you should be able to answer some basic questions and basic answers. And if you're not able to answer, try dealing with the method that I just mentioned. Yeah. Any other questions that you want to ask me? I think we are just on time. Any other questions? Any other
Uh,
interview related questions that you want to ask
yeah,
me?
I think there is one. What is more
Uh,
important in interviews? Communication,
okay.
body language, or dressing?
Okay. So I would say that as a fresher, all of these things are very important. So dressing, I would not like to focus on the typical dressing part, but there is an etiquette, right? So whenever I am coming to office, I have an etiquette. I have something called business casuals that I need to wear. Uh, in SAP, it is in. I mean, I'm speaking about SAP Labs as a company. We have a very flexible dress code policy, but still, I think most of us follow a very business casual approach. And so when you go towards the interview, dressing is very important. So you should wear a proper formal dress at least when you are a fresher. So when I also went in as a fresher, and even when I think last 5 6 years ago when I gave my last interview, uh, virtual interview, I was wearing a proper formal dress. Yeah. So try to have a etiquette. I would not typically mean that good dress, bad dress. An etiquette, a proper etiquette, formal dressing pattern. Communication, very important. You should not, you should be able to communicate everything very fast. And when I say fast, I don't mean that you need to speak fast. Speak slowly, take pauses, listen well. These are my three advices. Next thing is body language, 100%. 100% important. You will be able to trick the other person even if you don't know the answer by just your body language. Yeah. What modules we should make ready for the next session to be more confident? So module wise, so you need to understand two things. So modules are the business areas or the departments that SAP has applications developing. As an ABAP developer, you should be more about the technical part. So when you say the technical part, it's the ABAP part. But if you want to know about the modules, when SAP we call, there are three kinds of consultants. One is technical consultant who knows the technical part on how to develop the applications. One is functional consultants, one who knows how to use the application, how to use the business processes. One is techno-functional, the person that knows both. So I am a techno-functional consultant. I know how to develop the applications. I know how the business process works. So if your aspiration is to be a techno-functional consultant, then it should be an aspiration after you get into a company. But as a fresher, don't try to get into both the roles because you will mess up. But if you're still interested to know about some modules, so module knowing about the modules means knowing about the business process, not knowing about the technical detail. Technical details will be known across all modules. All modules will use the same technical, same technical specifications and same technical documents, same technical frameworks and everything. Just the module wise business process will change. So if you want to ask me, I am working in procurement, so just search for procurement, search for sales, and just try to know which module is more close to you. That I find procurement to be very interesting. The buying of stuff. Then how do I when you order in Amazon, you get an invoice. You order the stuff, you get an invoice. The order gets delivered to you. After the order gets delivered to you, then you have a bill of, then you have a confirmation that the order is delivered, then you have a return policy. After the return policy also, if you change the product, then another invoice gets generated. So this process I was very much you know very much familiar with. I mean, and before even also got into SAP, so I chose procurement as my module. So if you want to work on or know about module now, right now, I think you should only know about a few modules. But if you are going in the functional zone, then the technical part is not required. Then the business part is required. How do you know about modules? How procurement works? How sales works? How finance works? Yeah. Can we give interviews with basic? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So interviews, the basic media. So SAP is a German company. So most of the SAP software, the legacy software, were written in German. But English is a medium of development, medium of interaction, medium of communication. SAP. So basic English is fine, but English will be a medium of your communication in the interviews as well. But if you're giving in basic English, mind the three things that I mentioned. Listen properly, take a pause, and then start answering. Don't hurry up in answering the questions. Yeah, then you will fumble up.
Yeah, any more questions from anyone? I think like Subhajit has covered very holistically about everything, even the technical knowledge and also the non-technical aspect of going to an interview and everything. So thank you so much, Subhajit. I think the students were reluctant today to answer the questions. Maybe they are scared that it might be wrong. That might be the reason. But we also have one more sessions where we will be conducting live mock interview with some learners, and from that we can also learn so many things. We can also like try to avoid some mistakes that freshers do while going to an interview. And I hope that everyone will be more prepared next time and will be more less reluctant compared to today, and ask as many questions as possible in their sessions. And thank you so much. But before that, I just wanted to drop down a feedback form link, so please feel free to like fill out the form, and this would be helpful to us also. And apart from that, I think we have covered almost everything. So Subhajit, we have the next session on 25th, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So students, you should be prepared for this one. You have ample amount of time to prepare yourself to learn more on these aspects about interview and ABAP. So let's make optimum use of this opportunity. And thank you so much, Vajit, for being so patient with our learners and explaining things in details, and also giving
Thank
us
you
the
so
time
much.
and
Thank you. It
opportunity.
was yeah. Thank you, Danish, for coordinating it very well, and I thank you to all the participants as well. Hope you will come out of your shy zone in the next meeting as well. Please note that this is for your benefit only. So
Yeah,
the more you come
definitely.
out of your shy zone, the more you will be confident in the next interview sessions as well. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It was great speaking with you. Let's hope for the next session. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone, and have a
Thank you.
great day.
Bye. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.